The Geoengineering Act of 2017. I'm going to break it all down for you right now. This is the state of Rhode Island in General Assembly. You can actually read this in detail if you go to legiscan.com. I'll leave the link in the video description box. And as you can see, this was introduced by Representative Justin Price. Justin Price right here. If you want to know more about Mr. Price, go to this website. I'll leave the link also in the video description box. And one thing I like about what this gentleman says, please review my latest initiatives, legislative actions, and press releases. Feel free to email me with your comments and concerns. And I think people need to send this guy a huge shout out, a serious thank you. And I'm going to read the legislation here in a minute that he proposes. And that's why I think a thank you would be in order. Being a responsive lawmaker is an important aspect of making our government work for all of us. Your participation is welcomed. So let's go back to the legislation here relating to the Health and Safety, the Geoengineering Act of 2017. It was introduced March 24th, 2017, referred to the House Environment and Natural Resources. It is enacted by the General Assembly as follows. Section 1, Title 23. Aha! One of my favorite numbers, 23. Of the general laws entitled Health and Safety is hereby amended by adding thereto the following chapter. The Geoengineering Act of 2017. This chapter shall be known and may be cited as the Geoengineering Act of 2017. Geoengineering is defined herein as the intentional manipulation of the environment involving nuclear, biological, chemical, electromagnetic, and or other physical agent activities that affect changes to Earth's atmosphere and or surface. I'm also going to show you over a dozen patents of like sci-fi chemical geoengineering manipulation, over a dozen, dozens, and literally like something out of a Star Trek film or something that the Harkonnen would use. I mean, really nasty stuff. The Rhode Island General Assembly finds the geoengineering encompasses many technologies and methods involving hazardous activities that can harm human health and safety, the environment, and the economy of the state of Rhode Island and the rest of the world that gets sprayed. I added that in there. It is therefore the intention of the Rhode Island General Assembly to regulate all geoengineering activities as further set forth by the terms and provisions of this chapter. Findings of fact. Scope of geoengineering, inclusive of solar radiation management and other technologies. Geoengineering activities are diverse and vary greatly in their characteristics and consequences. Geoengineering may involve ground-based and or atmosphere-based deployments, including without limitation the use of aircraft, rockets, unmanned aerial vehicles, drones, and or large balloons. Solar radiation management geoengineering activities requiring state licensing include, without limitation, cloud cover production. Aerial releases of water vapor produce man-made cloud cover. Cloud whitening sea salt or other particulates injected into clouds make the clouds more reflective, after which the salt or other particulates rain out over land areas and freshwater supplies. Salt flare rockets fired into clouds. These rockets trigger rain downpours containing salt. I want to pause real quick. Yesterday, driving home through Texas, the skies were disgusting. It looked like almost as bad as Beijing. I mean, it was just grotesque. And they've definitely changed the chemical formula in many of these aerial spraying injections, many of these stratosphere aerosol injections that they're blasting into the atmosphere, into the stratosphere around the world. Well, they've changed up the formulas because you'll notice that you don't see them hang out as much. Like after they spray and dissipate slowly, it seems to dissipate quicker. And also the color is very disturbing. Yesterday, driving home, the horizon was very silverish, very like a transhuman gray / silver. It just didn't look natural at all. And the clouds that you did see looked like, Oh my gosh, I'm just going to be real graphic here. Have you ever gone into into a public restroom and the toilet looked like somebody just had the squirts all over the toilet? You know what I'm talking about. Yeah, that's what it looked like. The clouds. And then the rest of the horizon was like this just weird colored haze. Disgusting. Now let's go back. Salt flare rockets fired into clouds. These rockets trigger rain downpours containing salt. Space sunshades or sun shields, huge parasol-like devices, reduce the amount of direct sunlight reaching Earth's surface. Solar shields or atmospheric sunscreens, reflective particulates such as sulfur dioxide and aluminum oxide. And I'm going to share with you, ladies and gentlemen, actual data from a lab, independent analysis of rainwater in Bend, Oregon. I'm going to share that with you as well, so make sure to listen to this entire podcast. You're going to see barium, strontium, aluminum in these results. It's very disturbing. Reflective space mesh mirrors, wire mesh mirrors deployed in space, reduce the amount of direct sunlight reaching Earth's surface over small or large areas, depending on their size. Planetary sunshades. Whoa! Planetary sunshades, ladies and gentlemen. These largest of SRM operations are particulates to cover over time the whole Earth, stripping the ozone layer by as much as 76%. And reducing the amount of direct sunlight reaching Earth's surface. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if that doesn't scare the daylights out of you, then you must be on some amazing particulates, some amazing mind control. Let me repeat this. Planetary sunshades. These largest of SRM operations use particulates to cover over time the whole Earth, stripping the ozone layer by as much as 76% and reducing the amount of direct sunlight reaching Earth's surface. Artificial ionosphere, a sustained high-density plasma cloud, is produced in Earth's upper atmosphere. Large helium balloons, which release atmospheric contaminants, and rocket emissions, including water vapor, a greenhouse gas. Additional geoengineering activities requiring state licensing include, without limitation, ocean fertilization by iron or lime seeding, including but not limited to ocean sequestration. I don't know what that means. What is that, ladies and gentlemen? Which process produce detrimental artificial algae blooms from pollutants in the ocean. Well, I can certainly tell you I've seen plenty of pictures of the coast, different parts of the coast around the world that are red from algae blooms, and people are in there swimming going, oh yeah, look at this, isn't this cute? Get a picture with your kids in there. We'll put it on Facebook. What are you having for dinner too? I had a T-bone steak with some genetically modified corn. It had all sorts of Roundup on it. Tasted great. Re-icing or cooling the Arctic and other areas through artificial means, ocean cooling pipes, weather modification involving the release of sea salt, silver iodide, barium, and or other particulates to enhance rain or snow in one area while reducing the availability of rain or snow in other areas. Gee, I wonder why there was a freaking drought in California, a crazy drought for several years, and all of a sudden just boom! Now all of a sudden you've got the Oroville Dam and the spillway in utter ruins, ready to just, at the verge of utter ruins, I should say. The spillway is in very bad shape. Yeah, this is all just natural, ladies and gentlemen. And what you're reading right now is all a conspiracy. You know, there's people that still say chemtrails aren't real. There's literally people that will leave these just elaborate comments, multiple paragraphs, describing how they're just totally normal contrails from commercial jets. Either those people have their heads so far up something that they're just clinging on to anything they can because they will not admit that they're wrong, or they're shills. Whether or not they're paid, I don't know. I mean, that's like saying television doesn't exist. That's like saying your car doesn't exist. That's like saying you don't exist. That's like saying that light doesn't exist. That's like saying that the sun isn't real at all. It never was real. That's like saying the sky isn't real. That's like saying that that horses aren't real. That's like saying that the computer that you have isn't real. That's like saying this conversation we're having right now is not real. And either are chemtrails. And by the way, I have a beautiful timeshare for you. It's only $45,000. It'll get you 1 week in the off season in Branson, and your maintenance fees are only $2,500 a year. Now, you do have to make that reservation at a particular time every year. Otherwise, it'll probably be booked. And if you don't use it, you still have to pay the maintenance fee. And even though you can get that timeshare on eBay for $1, people are actually giving that thing away because they want to get out of the maintenance fees. You want to buy it from me for $45,000 because chemtrails don't exist, and I'm agreeing with you on that. So to make yourself feel better, buy this timeshare from me for $45,000, and it will reconfirm in your mind, if there's one there that isn't completely controlled by some...
You will be assimilated. You must tell people that chemtrails do not exist, otherwise your contract will be over.
I wonder if some of these people like sold their soul to the devil. Like, oh yes, chemtrails aren't real, man. You're a conspiracy theorist. I think this is more validation that many conspiracy theorists are very intelligent. It's like saying somebody. It's like calling a detective saying that detective, because that detective does research and gets to the bottom of the case that he or she is doing and is very good at what he or she is doing. Asking questions, not believing the official story they're told by the witness or by the suspect. So they do more research and find the real story oftentimes. Well, they're conspiracy theorists too because they don't believe the official story. I mean, that's like saying that you're a conspiracy theorist because you don't believe everything the mainstream media tells you. I mean, hello? Bingo, ding dong. People are still that ignorant. I don't know how some people function. Like, I don't know how they get to work. I don't know how they put their shoes on. I don't know how they have a conversation with somebody. I don't know how they can even actually walk across the street without getting hit by a car. It's amazing how ignorant and stupid some people are, in my opinion. Now, fortunately, most of you that listen to Leak Project are very intelligent, and you're looking for the truth, and you're tired of being lied to. I get schooled every single day in the comment section here at Leak Project. People that connect dots for me, and then a lot of times I'll present that in future podcasts. I think it's great. It's like a university. It's also exciting to me, and I hope it is to you as well. I don't want to bore you guys because your time is very valuable. Every one of you is changing the world one step, one mind at a time. You guys are being the change. And that's awesome. So let's go back here. Weather modification involving the release of sea salt, silver iodide, barium, and or other particulates to enhance rain or snow in one area, while reducing the availability of rain or snow in other areas. You guys remember the plastic snow we got a couple years ago, and people were like, "Oh yeah, it's normal when you light snow on fire for it to smell like plastic and burn all black. That's totally normal. Happens all the time. Smells like plastic. It smells exactly like you're burning a plastic bottle or something. That's normal, son. It's not. You're a conspiracy theorist. Jeez, you're a conspiracy theorist. Man, I'm gonna tell you what, man. You need to get your swine flu vaccine, man. And you need to take more of that lithium because they're not spraying enough over your head." Sorry, let's go back. Okay. Genetically modified CO2 eating plastic trees. Yeah, I mean, just get rid of the real trees, right? What is there, about 7% deforestation every year? Well, you got plastic trees. We'll just have Monsanto make them. That's how we'll solve that one. Shit, man. They kill all the mosquitoes. They just make more. Give China more jobs, man. China needs to work too, you know? Man, you Americans are so racist. Jeez, you're racist. How dare you take away jobs from people overseas that want to make artificial mosquitoes? Man, you probably think organic's good for you too, huh? You probably think vaccines are bad for you because you're a conspiracy theorist. Man, you're fake news. Land-based and ocean-based carbon sequestration? Am I saying that right? I just want to say Sasquatch. Let me repeat this. Land-based and ocean-based carbon Sasquatch. That's crazy. Carbon dioxide, geo-Sasquatch, and carbon capture of removal. Which processes involve capturing what is considered waste, carbon dioxide, and depositing it at storage sites. Nitrogen removal and sequestration, Sasquatch, carbon black or black carbon release, deliberate atmospheric releases of soot to produce artificial weather events, and atmospheric deployment of radio frequency microwave radiation other than that needed for safe aviation and or deployment of other physical agents for stated and or unstated purposes. Man, all you guys that think HARP is doing anything else than sending frequencies into the atmosphere, you're conspiracy theorists too. Let's go back to this real quick. Atmospheric deployment of radio frequency microwave radiation other than that needed for safe aviation and or deployment of other physical agents for stated and or unstated purposes. Now, we've been talking about nanotechnology and the possibility of them using certain particulates in these aerosol injections to therefore blanket the entire planet with microscopic sensors that could then be tracked via Wi-Fi and other various frequency methods and capturing methods. I mean, my goodness, just look at an EEG from 40 years ago that can take your brain waves on a graph via frequency, knowing if you're in alpha, beta, theta, delta state, what state your mind is in. They have commercial applications and residential applications that there's games with headsets, wireless, almost like wireless EEGs that can then decipher these frequencies into where to move that character. You don't think they've got spy towers and satellites and technologies that can pick up your brain waves and decipher what you're thinking? No, that's a conspiracy too. Oh my goodness. How dare I think outside the box? I'm a conspiracy theorist. You know, for those of you that are stuck in the box, in that finite straight line paradigm that Thoth talks about in the Emerald Tablets, where the serpent archons reside, you can take that symbolically, metaphorically, you can take that however you want. I choose to be in an infinite opportunity of ages that are endless outside of this Borg-like cube, residing outside of the typical parameters of the physical box matrix is so much more exciting. And some people are like, man, you need an education, son. You're thinking for yourself. You need to get indoctrinated. I've been indoctrinated for 40 years in universities. That's what you need, son. I'll tell you, I've been taking this stuff called colostrum, and my energy levels are crazy. And I'm also drinking a cup of coffee right now. So this is just so important. This is so important, and people are so concerned with their daily routines, which suppress them, that they don't even spend time thinking outside of the box because it's just too much for most people. And I have noticed over the past couple years that more people are starting to unplug, and that's also causing a polarity on the other spectrum. So the more of us that are waking up, more people like you, like me, like others that listen to Leak Project that are continuing to unplug and be the change, well, there's that opposite. You know, you've got these people that are digging their head in the sand even more because they just don't want to look at what's real or what's going on around them. They want to create their own artificial paradigms inside of the box, once again, that finite straight line system that will eventually end. Aircraft. Geoengineering activities include those carried out from any type of aerial vehicle, rocket, drone, or balloon that involve the release or deployment of any nuclear radiation. Oh, nuclear radiation, ladies and gentlemen. We live in the freaking twilight zone. To spray nuclear radiation in the atmosphere to change the weather. Who would say that's okay? How does that, what is so detrimental that they have to spray nuclear radiation into the atmosphere to change the weather? Where did they mess up that now they have to do that as a means? Unless there's something more sinister. Or whatever it is that's controlling these freaking strings, that's pulling the strings, the top levels, does not have your best interest at heart, could care less about you and your family. What they want, if you look at the signs all around you, ladies and gentlemen, is for people to be as docile as possible, to do what they're told, to not question anything outside of the mainstream, and to continue to live in this matrix that keeps them at a physical level of not being able to excel, at a mental level of not being able to excel, of being stuck within their own paradigms. Imagine what this planet would be like if we weren't stuck in systems of control that fed off of pain, suffering, fuels that are ripped out of the earth. Just imagine what this planet would be like if we lived in a society that used Tesla-type technologies for energy, where people weren't slaves to a system of energy for everything that they do outside of their organic life. Meaning, taking a walk in the park. Most people will have to drive to that walk in the park, driving in a car that uses fuel that's ripped out of the earth. And then you can look at the frequencies that causes. Then you can get into how there's possibilities of other entities latching on to specific frequencies that you don't see with your physical eyes. And you look at the radiation factor and all of the radioactive isotopes and the fracking of the planet where they're ripping out all these fuels, the blood of the earth essentially. Well, what feeds off of that blood of the earth? Get into the Emerald Tablets where Thoth talks about how these archons, these serpent archons, actually come into fruition during blood sacrifices. And you hear about all these nasty blood rituals around the world and what sickos do in the media, and then they throw it in your face, and they call you conspiracy theorists for believing it. And that's what you hear about. Imagine what you don't hear about, ladies and gentlemen. I've shared with you stories out of old books of magic that talk about blood rituals and how important it is. Bloodletting. Why do you think the Mayans were ripping hearts out of people and throwing them in lakes? Why do you think that there's global wars that Ozzy Osbourne even says? Evil minds, they plot destruction. Generals gather in their masses, just like witches at black masses. Evil minds, they plot destruction. Sorcerers of disconjunction. These are global wars, global sacrifices, and they're getting ready to do it again. And so many people are waking up. They're doing everything they can to suppress you and your friends and your family, to keep you as low as possible in this vibrational matrix, as dense as possible, because they don't want to lose control. There's certain rules that they still abide by. Who is they? They is those that you don't know. Yet their signs, their fingerprints, their blueprints are all around you. Look at the medical mafia industrial complex that is so corrupt and so rich and has so much money, assets, control, that it changes laws. It creates laws. It has politicians in its pocket. Look at the list of holistic doctors that have died over the past 2 years that have been suicided. All a coincidence. What do you think? If the medical mafia actually profited off of healing people and not keeping people sick, but at a specific health level to where they can still function just enough to keep going back to the doctor and get more drugs. People are like, well, man, you're a conspiracy theorist because if they just wanted to wipe us out, they'd just do it right now. They could just push a couple buttons and you'd be done. You'd be done, son. Well, let's think about this for a minute. Do they want 7 billion slaves, 7 billion recyclable batteries? Do they want to wipe them out as long as they can continue to feed off of them? Or do you think that, kind of like when you read the Sumerian texts that talk about how Enlil and Enki manipulated the earthlings, and then they got too smart in certain aspects, so they just wanted to wipe them out. And then there's religions created to make it look like, oh, every human was evil at that time, so God just had to kill everybody. Everybody. God wiped everybody out with the flood. But he asked some people to just go kill people. You know, he didn't want to cause a flood there. He just wanted to get those people to have PTSD. You know, if you read the Bible, God tells his people to go kill every man, woman, and child of specific tribes, and then people use an excuse, oh, they were all Nephilim, they were all evil giants, they were all eating people and having sex with animals. Well, first of all, how do you know? Were you there? And if you really think that everybody on the planet was that evil at that time that God had to wipe out the entire planet, then you don't have much faith in humanity, do you? You don't have much faith in yourself. You read these Sumerian texts that talk about Genesis. Literally, if you read Genesis and you read the Epic of Gilgamesh and you read these scriptures and scribes that are older than the Genesis, it seems like they took those stories, diluted them, added some different names, mixed it up a little bit, and came up with different conclusions to spin their idea and story, and then sell it to the world as God's word. And if you question God's word, well, guess what? God says you should be stoned to death because you're a non-believer. I mean, how many billions of people throughout the ages have been killed in the name of religion, or their God's better than the other God? I'm divagating. Aircraft geoengineering. Activities include those carried out from any type of aerial vehicle, rocket, drone, or balloon. Consequences. Documented problems arising from geoengineering activities include, but are not limited to, global dimming, causing reduced vitamin D absorption in humans and animals, and reduced photosynthesis. Changes in distribution, patterns and chemical contents of local rainfall, contamination of air, water, soil, particulates fall to Earth's surface. I'm going to show you the documents, independent lab reports in just a minute. Degradation of human, animal, and plant health when people and other living organisms are exposed to falling particulates and other atmospheric contaminants. The acceleration of biodiversity and species losses, especially the loss of endangered and threatened species as identified under the U.S. Endangered Species Act of 1973 ESA, each one of which species has intrinsic value as well as human resource value. Less direct sunlight reaching the earth, fewer winter freezes, higher humidity, resulting in increased molds, mildews, fungi, and pest problems. I'll bet these giant corps like Monsanto love that. If this doesn't get your blood boiling, then how are you even a real person? I just don't understand. Increases in acid rain loads from the airborne injection or releases of sulfur and aluminum oxide with human, animal, plant, and water resource degradation therefrom. The near impossibility of restoring natural resources. Let me repeat that. The near impossibility of restoring natural resources with the undermining and devaluation of state-funded conservation programs. Changes in microclimates, local weather, and larger-scale climates within short time periods with greater likelihood of increased and cascading efforts and effects. Droughts and flooding, which may severely impact state, regional, and global flood production. Increases in ultraviolet radiation, UVA, UVB, and UVC to Earth's surface. The delay by decades of the ozone layer's potential recovery. The burden that airborne reflective particulates must be repeatedly replenished since their atmospheric time is limited. Visibility, impairment, and clutter. Impeding aviation safety and increasing the likelihood of small and large particle collisions. Oh, that sounds fun. Economic losses to various sectors of society and to the state itself resulting from, without limitation, human health damages, increased healthcare needs, contaminated soils, drinking water supplies, decline of fisheries, loss of pollinators such as bees, decreases in agricultural crop yields, dead and dying trees, loss of habitats, pollution, cleanup costs, and decreases in solar power production from lack of direct sunlight reaching Earth's surface. In view of these facts, the General Assembly declares that geoengineering activities must be strictly regulated by the state through a licensing process, within which an environmental impact report from the Departments of Environmental Management are preliminary detailed impact reports from the state agencies, state offices, departments, and programs included in 232386, as well as information gathered in public hearings, shall be considered prior to a decision pursuant to this chapter. Well, first of all, we're being the change, and we're making a difference. All this information, people that have been blogging about this for years, let's look at one of the generals in the fight against the destruction of the planet, Dane Wigington. That guy has been putting his life on the line and his work on the line, his reputation on the line for years, exposing this madness. And all the interviews that I've done, that guy freaked me out more than just about anybody as far as the information he presented to how bad these chemical trails really are in our atmosphere. I mean, it's bad enough to have over 440 nuclear reactors around the world. Many of these are on fault lines and are next to coastlines. That's bad enough. Well, let's add to it's like something is literally trying to kill the planet. Who are these planet killers? What are these planet killers? And how long are you going to take it, ladies and gentlemen? How long are you just going to sit back, suck down your diet soda, watch reality TV, and attack those that are exposing the madness instead of taking care of what needs to be done in a nonviolent fashion? The pen is mightier than the sword. The mind is mightier than the pen. I notice many people will attack the messenger. If you put that much time and effort into writing your congressmen, your lawmakers, into researching the effects and in a polite way write a letter, because here's the deal, if you write a letter to your congressman just being a complete jerk, you're not going to get your point across very well that way. You have to do it in a very detailed fashion. You have to present the evidence, and you have to explain. We have to explain to these people that change the laws and create the laws. We have to show them how this doesn't just affect us. This affects them. This affects their family. This affects their future generations. Let's say reincarnation is real, and let's say we come back here on Earth. Well, maybe we should take care of the planet, right? Whether or not we come back, we should take care of the planet. Whether or not you have kids, you should take care of the planet. This planet is a living being, a living life source, just like you, just like me, just like others. The only difference is we're feeding off of it. We're parasites on the earth. So let's give as much as we take. Let's find solutions to this madness. Let's find solutions to the problem. And instead of attacking the messengers that are presenting information because you don't like the information they're presenting, why don't you look at a solution to get rid of this in a non-violent fashion? Now, let's go back to the atmospheric contamination means any type of aerosol, chaff, biological and or transbiological agent, genetically modified agent, metal, radioactive, material, vapor, particulate, down to or less than 1 nanometer in diameter. Listen to that. 1 nanometer, you guys. Do you know how small that is? That's so small you can't even see it. Nanotechnology right there, ladies and gentlemen. Nanotechnology in the chemical injections that are sprayed in the atmosphere. Well, this is exposed radioactive stuff being sprayed in the atmosphere. Virtually all these other nasties, barium, aluminum, stuff that can lead to Alzheimer's. Just had a pause. I was about to say autism, Alzheimer's. Okay. Less than 1 nanometer in diameter and any air pollutant regulated by the state, including without limitation those deemed unnecessary pursuant to the general laws, including xenobiotic, foreign to life, electromagnetic radiation, or any combination of these released contaminants. Wow. Maybe that explains some of the genetically modified E. coli that they found with independent lab tests before, after these aerosol injections being sprayed into the atmosphere. Chaff means aluminum-coated fiberglass particulates. Wonderful. Aluminum-coated fiberglass being sprayed in the atmosphere so small it goes into your pores, ladies and gentlemen. Don't you feel good about that? Yet people get more pissed off about their neighbor because he drives a Mercedes-Benz and they drive a BMW. People get more pissed off about somebody's bumper sticker because they voted for somebody else than they do about this stuff. Well, no wonder the world is messed up. No wonder they get away with this kind of stuff. Because people get in fistfights over sports teams, over their college team losing, but they don't do anything about getting poisoned on a daily basis, but call other people conspiracy theorists. Once you figure that out, ladies and gentlemen, it's pretty easy to understand the rest. Conditions means any limitations and safeguards to be placed on a geoengineering activity that is licensed by the director of the State Department of Environmental Management. Department means the Rhode Island Department of Environmental Management. Okay. Geoengineering means the intentional manipulation of the environment involving nuclear, biological, chemical, electromagnetic, and or physical agent activities that affect changes to Earth's atmosphere and or surface. Jeez. Release means any activity that results in the issuance of atmospheric contaminants such as the emitting, discharging, or injecting of one or more nuclear, biological, chemical, and or physical agents into the ambient atmosphere either intermittently or continuously. Due to the potential for significant harm, any and all contemplated geoengineering activities shall require the submission of a written license application to request a license to engage in a specific type of geoengineering activity on a specified date. And once again, I hope they're not just using this to get more money. Oh, yeah, well, you can do it. Just give us $100,000 for that license. No problem. That's where I get nervous about this kind of stuff. I mean, as long as this is, if they're doing this, really this just needs to be shut down. They need to quit the licensing. They just need to shut all this down and not just ask for more money for licensing. That's that's what I wonder. It's like, okay, well, let me get another piece of the pie here. What I'll do is we'll just charge more money. This is talking about licensing. You're talking about the application for the licensing. Penalties. Here you go. Relating to health and safety, the Geoengineering Act of 2017, this act would establish a system to regulate the intentional manipulation of the global environment through various means that are known as geoengineering. This act would also provide that a person seeking to engage in geoengineering activities would require a license from the director of the Department of Environmental Management. This act would take effect upon passage. So, how about just get rid of all of this stuff? We don't need radiation sprayed in the atmosphere. There's enough of it here at home. Maybe that's why when I flew to Alaska in 2013, the radiation levels went from 0.07 on the ground to 4.2 in the air. That's 60 times higher in the air, ladies and gentlemen. If you fly a lot, just think about that for a minute. Put that on your plate and eat it. Radiation. Think it's going to turn you into Superman? Here is the testing, okay? This is independent testing. Thank you, AZ Voice, for sending me this. Here's the results. It's a rain test, Rainwater in Bend, Oregon. Here's the results. Barium, lead. They didn't find mercury. They found aluminum, barium, and lead. And then when you scroll down here some more, you can see the test results. You can see the percentages. If you're a scientist, if you're a doctor, if you're somebody that studies analysis on chemicals, an engineer, You can see all the numbers right here. These are the reports, the dates that they were sampled. Now let's scroll down here. Look at this. Strontium. They found strontium also, ladies and gentlemen, in your rainwater because they love you so much. Because they really, really love you. Now, another thing that I would also recommend is I'm going to show you, look at this, Chico Skywatch. Look at some of these patents. It's a great website if you want to see different patents on chemtrails. Yes, chemtrails. They're chemtrails because there's chemicals in the trails. That's what they are. Chemtrails. You're not a conspiracy theorist. You can call them chemtrails. You don't need to call it a stratosphere aerosol injection. You don't need to call it geoengineering. You don't need to call it terraforming. You don't need to call it an SAI. You could call it an STD. Stratosphere transmitted disease. U.S. patent 3429507, Rainmaker apparatus including a large venturi passage carried by an airborne device. Patent 3613992, weather modification method. Patent 3659785, weather modification microencapsulated material. Patent 3813875, barium release system to create clouds with barium. They love us. Powder contrail generation. 3899144. Patent 4035726, cold plasma injection into ionosphere. Patent 4362271, weather modification utilizing dimethyl sulfoxide. Love that stuff. Laminar microjet atomizer, aerial spraying of liquids, 4412654, patent number. How about method of producing cumulus clouds? Patent 4653690. Particles generation, electrically charged aerosols. Electrically charged aerosols, 4684063, patent number. Altering a region in the Earth's atmosphere, patent number 4686605. Changing aerosol and warfare clouds, patent number 4704942. Method of suppressing formation of contrails, patent number 4766725. Liquid atomizing, atomizing apparatus for aerial spraying, patent number 4948050. Creation of artificial ionization clouds, patent number 4999637. Stratospheric Welschbach seeding global warming, patent number 5003186. Process for absorbing ultraviolet radiation, patent number 5286979. Satellite weather modification system, number 1, patent number 5762298. So there you have it. I mean, if you still think chemtrails don't exist, wow. You can go to Harvard Solar Geoengineering Research Program. You can read about it there. You can go to the CIA.gov and you can read about the director of the CIA discussing stratosphere aerosol injection program. And it would be very cheap, relatively cheap, at about $10 billion a year. Right off the CIA's website. Well, once again, you're a conspiracy theorist. Now, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/clandestine time lord. Get access to the latest podcasts and updates. Also, pick up one of these awesome quick bivvies. I'm going to leave a link in the video description box. Everybody needs at least one of these things. Have it in your car, your bug out bag, your camper bag. Have one under your bed. Definitely pick one of these up. Something like this, if you're taking a road trip or if you're in an area where you need to stay warm, could help save your life. Also, if you want access to exclusive content, go to leakproject.com. On the premium section here, you see where it says premium content. As a premium member for $10 a month or $50 for the whole year, we're doing a special right now. You'll get access to all of our podcasts. They're downloadable. They're streamable. Your contributions greatly help Leak Project. And as you can see here, exclusive interviews. Thank you for being here with me. I appreciate all your support. I do want to let you know about a really cool event that I'm going to be hosting here shortly. Leak Project is going to be doing a 24-hour live marathon. I'm bringing in guests on a wide variety of topics from around the world into this live 24-hour session. Also, we're going to be doing readings. We're going to have music. It's going to be a blast. So I will give you guys the dates. It's going to be here in the next couple of months. I haven't put an exact date on it yet, but when I do have it, you guys will get the dates. Have a beautiful day. Question everything. And next time somebody calls you a conspiracy theorist, tell them thank you. That's a compliment. Be the change you want to see, ladies and gentlemen. This chapter shall be known and may be cited as the Geoengineering Act of 2017. Geoengineering is defined herein as the intentional manipulation of the environment involving nuclear, biological, chemical, electromagnetic, and or other physical agent activities that affect changes to Earth's atmosphere and or surface. I'm also going to show you over a dozen patents of like sci-fi chemical geoengineering manipulation, over a dozen, dozens, and literally like something out of a Star Trek film or something that the Harkonnen would use. I mean, really nasty stuff. The Rhode Island General Assembly finds the geoengineering encompasses many technologies and methods involving hazardous activities that can harm human health and safety, the environment, and the economy of the state of Rhode Island and the rest of the world that gets sprayed. I added that in there. It is therefore the intention of the Rhode Island General Assembly to regulate all geoengineering activities as further set forth by the terms and provisions of this chapter. Findings of fact. Scope of geoengineering, inclusive of solar radiation management and other technologies. Geoengineering activities are diverse and vary greatly in their characteristics and consequences. Geoengineering may involve ground-based and or atmosphere-based deployments, including without limitation the use of aircraft. The Geoengineering Act of 2017, I'm going to break it all down for you right now. This is the state of Rhode Island in General Assembly. You can actually read this in detail if you go to legiscan.com. I'll leave the link in the video description box. And as you can see, this was introduced by Representative Justin Price. Justin Price right here. If you want to know more about Mr. Price, go to this website. I'll leave the link also in the video description box. And one thing I like about what this gentleman says, please review my latest initiatives, legislative actions, and press releases. Feel free to email me with your comments and concerns. And I think people need to send this guy a huge shout out, a serious thank you. And I'm going to read the legislation here in a minute that he proposes, and that's why I think a thank you would be in order. Being a responsive lawmaker is an important aspect of making our government work for all of us. Your participation is welcomed. So let's go back to the legislation here relating to the Health and Safety, the Geoengineering Act of 2017. It was introduced March 24th, 2017, referred to the House Environment and Natural Resources. It is enacted by the General Assembly as follows. Section 1, Title 23. Aha! One of my favorite numbers, 23. Of the general laws entitled Health and Safety is hereby amended by adding thereto the following chapter. The Geoengineering Act of 2017. Ladies and gentlemen, these largest of SRM operations are particulates to cover over time the whole Earth, stripping the ozone layer by as much as 76% and reducing the amount of direct sunlight reaching Earth's surface. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if that doesn't scare the daylights out of you, then you must be on some amazing particulates, some amazing mind control. Let me repeat this. Planetary sunshades. These largest of SRM operations use particulates to cover over time the whole Earth, stripping the ozone layer by as much as 76% and reducing the amount of direct sunlight reaching Earth's surface. Artificial ionosphere, a sustained high-density plasma cloud, is produced in Earth's upper atmosphere. Large helium balloons, which release atmospheric contaminants, and rocket emissions, including water vapor, a greenhouse gas. Additional geoengineering activities requiring state licensing include, without limitation, ocean fertilization by iron or lime seeding, including but not limited to ocean sequestration. I don't know what that means. What is that, ladies and gentlemen? Which process produce detrimental artificial algae blooms from pollutants in rockets, unmanned aerial vehicles, drones, and or large balloons. Solar radiation management geoengineering activities requiring state licensing include, without limitation, cloud cover production. Aerial releases of water vapor produce man-made cloud cover. Cloud whitening, sea salt, or other particulates injected into clouds make the clouds more reflective, after which the salt or other particulates rain out over land areas and freshwater supplies. Salt flare rockets fired into clouds. These rockets trigger rain downpours containing salt. I want to pause real quick. Yesterday, driving home through Texas, the skies were disgusting. It looked like almost as bad as Beijing. I mean, it was just grotesque. And they've definitely changed the chemical formula in many of these aerial spraying injections, many of these stratosphere aerosol injections that they're blasting into the atmosphere, into the stratosphere around the world. Well, they've changed up the formulas because you'll notice that you don't see them hang out as much. Like after they spray and dissipate slowly, it seems to dissipate quicker. And also the color is very disturbing. Yesterday, driving home, the horizon was very silverish, very like a transhuman gray / silver. It just didn't look natural at all. And the clouds that you did see looked like, oh my gosh, I'm just going to be real graphic here. Have you ever gone into a public restroom and the toilet looked like somebody just had the squirts all over the toilet? You know what I'm talking about. Yeah, that's what it looked like. The clouds. And then the rest of the horizon was like this just weird colored haze. Disgusting. Now let's go back. Salt flare rockets fired into clouds. These rockets trigger rain downpours containing salt. Space sunshades or sun shields, huge parasol-like devices, reduce the amount of direct sunlight reaching Earth's surface. Solar shields or atmospheric sunscreens, reflective particulates such as sulfur dioxide and aluminum oxide. And I'm going to share with you, ladies and gentlemen, actual data from a lab, independent analysis of rainwater in Bend, Oregon. I'm going to share that with you as well, so make sure to listen to this entire podcast. You're going to see barium, strontium, aluminum in these results. It's very disturbing. Reflective space mesh mirrors, wire mesh mirrors deployed in space, reduce the amount of direct sunlight reaching Earth's surface over small or large areas, depending on their size. Planetary sunshades. Whoa! Planetary sunshades.